A passion is defined as an intense desire or enthusiasm for something or someone. In terms of gaming, it resonates to the individual as a connected moment that goes beyond a simple admiration for title. It solidifies itself as a reason to love it. On this series of Your Gaming Reason, we ask individuals on their perspective of what began as a simple admiration for a franchise and became a passion. For this reason, I invited two guests to ask their insight on the matter of God of War, a PlayStation 2 title that offered a gameplay adrenaline rush combined with an engrossing story and deep mythological lore. The first is my friend Chris, a longtime God of War fan since the late PS2 era who resonates with Kratos, and Saliou, who is a professional gamer and Street Fighter V FGC member who has not only won several tournaments, but also worked on the 2018 God of War as a QA analyst. We asked both of these wonderful guests on their perspective and insight on their gaming reason for God of War.
My first interaction with the God of War franchise was my babysitter. It was a dude named Ricky. When the first God of War came out, I was pretty young still.
Got started when, came out in 2005. I was in, this is about to start at high school, 9th grade, and I walked into, I think it was my local EB Games or GameStop at the time, whatever it was called, and there was a demo playing. I came up to it, started playing. Tripped me out because it was for the PS2. I was a heavy fighter into fighting games at the time, and since it was like square triangle, it's like a combo. Kind of just gravitated to me. He's like, all right, cool. And besides, there's blood. Everyone likes blood. Come on, it's a mature game. So.
Just that introduction for that first level, right on the boat in God of War 1, where you have to fight the Hydra, and Kratos is kind of ripping people apart, and you see a little bit of his backstory, but you don't fully understand what's going on with the gods. That was one of the first moments that really gripped me and showed me that the mythology is a really big part of this game.
Then I found out later about it, it's like about Greek mythology. I had a little to no knowledge about Greek mythology.
Really?
Yeah. But thanks to God of War, I actually expanded my knowledge of Greek mythology. Not besides the game itself, but I actually went out and went to study a bit, just to get that general fundamentation, that general information.
After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end. Death would be his escape from madness.
You have those moments when you watch a cool movie, or like you eat a really good meal and you're like, oh man, like that was super dope.
Just the combo system, I liked it so much. And besides, doing square, triangle, goes in slow motion, the axis falling down. It was just a general, overall, it's just the first, just that demo itself, it's like very pleasing to do. And it was pretty much the entirety of the first level of the game, which is great. I was like, all right, cool, you got the first level of the game.
I feel like that was the first video game that really was able to capture that for me, not just as like a little kid, but also kind of as I was growing up. Playing like God of War 1, God of War 2, and even God of War 3 at the end. All these games had so many wow moments, and I felt like it just kept happening throughout like boss fights or different, ways that the story would unfold and how it was told.
Because that demo got me hooked. And because of that, I told my brother about it, kind of nagged him a bit. He's like, hey, can you buy me the game? Because, I'm not of age, but So one day he shows up, he's like, here you go. Gives me the copy of God of War. I'm like, oh, sweet. Started playing the very first time. Past the Hydra after that was like, oh wow, this actually is a great game.
Playing through God of War, especially for the first time, it was like, it's one of those things that shows video games as an art form.
I think more about the character, Kratos.
A lot of people can relate to Kratos, not necessarily exactly his experiences, but just the emotion and the vulnerability that he shows, in his feelings.
Besides him being just an angry man, the compassion he felt wronged because he got betrayed by god Ares. I felt I was betrayed by my parents years ago, but that's a different subject.
And I think that just having that dichotomy of trying to escape your fate and fighting against fate, and then when he actually does you know, become a fate weaver, I suppose, by killing the Sisters of Fate. Like, that was another big moment where, you know, not just in a symbolic way is he challenging his fate. He really is physically doing that in terms of the context of like mythology and all that. So I think like the fact that he is a struggler reminds me of other great stories, you know, like Berserk, where, you know, that's the classic tale of the struggler.
It's and also that rage, of course, with just being so angry. I have that anger tendencies, but I don't do it as much. I've been relaxed as years going by. That's what happens when you get old.
You know, if that dude is angry and he wants to get something killed, he's gonna go kill that thing. And I think there's something that's really admirable about that, you know, that's real clear goal setting and taking out goals. He said he wanted to kill everybody, and he killed everybody.
Yes, he was a demigod. No one knew that at the time, but he felt like another guy, like me and you. Like, he could be a guy just walking down the street and probably don't want to deal with him because he's like, we'll break your neck.
Kratos kind of has that similar thing going on where he's not quite a hero because he's definitely killing a lot of people. You wouldn't call him a good guy necessarily, but he's not quite a bad guy, somewhere in between. Classic, not quite classic anti-hero because he's a little twist on there, but definitely one of my favorite examples of that.
The very first moment I played it was harping back to the actual full game, was fighting the Hydra, and during the complete comp, during the quick time events, and also the sequence of killing it was great, and was just, at the time, it was just very spectacular thing to look at for the PS2.
In terms of my favorite to play, it's got to be Ares, man. At the end of God of War 1, when you have to grab the sword off the statue and you're just like, you know, slapping him up, and like you're big, you know, you get the power from Pandora's box and you're just ready to rumble. I think that's got to be, you know, the perfect ending to that game.
Trying to get to Pandora's box, enemies do end up changing up other than like weird dummies looking guys. Their difficulty curve actually goes up other than just basically, I don't know, the hashtag and kill. No, you have to do separate things to kill each different enemy, which is great. And the little puzzles that you put in, you know, always got to keep your mind active. The Greek mythology aspect was great. The Greek gods themselves giving powers to you, like in Bellamy, powers will help you a lot. So it's like, oh, they're on your side. But, you know, later on you find out they end up using you, but that's for different parts of the series. The game itself is was an entire journey, just with this character. Just the overall goal was to kill the man who wronged him. Which is Ares, the god of war. The gods kind of screwed him over because he's just wanted the memories of the people he has wronged in his past to go away, but you know, he can't do that. It's still a man. You still have to live with those horrid nightmares.
I want to talk about satisfaction for beating the game. Yeah, you became the god of war.
Father,
What?
did something change? The forest feels different now.
Everything is different, boy. Try not to dwell on it.
New one? Yeah. The pseudo reboot.
Being able to work on a franchise that I've been such a huge fan of was obviously a tremendous honor. Yeah, I was a QA analyst. I worked on some of the extra side quest levels, and I did some of the combat work as well. They're really masters at their crafts. You know, everybody who's working on level design, they're working on AI, just seeing how they would solve problems with the sun and just getting him to function, and also just the culture and the mentality of the studio, how everybody came together to make something like God of War. You know, they knew what they were making, they knew what they were doing, and they knew the impact that something like this would have. And people were really giving it their all, and they're like the Tiger Woods of their fields, and there's, 200, 300 of them. I played the game to death at this point, pre-release, and I've touched it a little bit post-release, but that's definitely something to say. It's something I can say I'm very proud to have been a part of, and yeah, it's a sick-ass game. Not just because I worked on it, but it's actually, I think it's a sick-ass game.
But overall, it's a great game. The overall flow of the story, it made you feel for his son and Kratos itself. I can't highly recommend enough. It's one of those good games. I actually did. many games back in the day, you can multiple playthroughs without getting tired. That's how I felt with this one, the newest God of War, compared to the PS2 title. I went back to replay it, and I'm so enmattered with it in the very first moment I started playing it.
Gameplay-wise, the new God of War is super different. The original ones obviously was like that arcade type of feel, kind of like Devil May Cry. I think the game in general had a pretty good like camera dynamics. The way it was behaving was solid. I'm a huge fan of the way they designed it. I feel like every hit that you do in that game is really impactful. You know, like they have a couple of things that go on in the back of the house to kind of make every hit stick, you know, and make sure it feels impactful, like you feel like a God of War when you're swinging the axe. And that's something they really pushed when they were making that. And I think that they did it, man. I think they did a really good job of blending in having a companion with a son and still feeling like you're the God of War and that you can just kind of take on the world.
When I first saw Kratos and met with Kratos since 2005 and growing up to now, you see that overarching arc, how much of a character he has changed into this new one that just recently came out, which is like, oh wow, like he's not angry, he's not as like volatile or just like bloodlust as he is. He's actually in his own way, he's still a caring man. He still cares for his family. The overall journey of this latest God of War is about putting his dead wife to rest.
I'm sorry.
Squeeze. This knife was hers. Now it is yours.
One of the things I really appreciate about the combat is how the son is not like just a snothead, you know? Like he is actually useful. He's not like weighing you down the majority of the fight. He is actively helping you, and he's usually, a lot of fights are not going to be possible without like incredible frustration if you're not using the kid to help you out. So I think that the way that they designed that and the way that they implemented that was just phenomenal. And yeah, it's crazy, man. I haven't really played another game that has an AI that feels the way that the son did, just because the way the story is tied in with everything. I feel like there's great continuity between the way the character is portrayed and written and the way that the characters play out in the game.
I remember playing the very first one, comparing it to this one now, I still have that same like relation and that grasp that I want to keep on playing it. Yeah. For the first 3 games, it's just about a murder fest and trying to figure out that vengeance is just, how can you fill the void of that vengeance? And he feels it, but he just ends up being, he's a shell, because he's got nothing else to kill of sorts, or nothing to redeem himself with, because he just ends up proving someone else right, that you're just nothing but a monster. This one, you have a person you have to care out for. You have a person for that needs you, which is Atreus, the little boy.
I would say if you haven't played a God of War game before, like either the old ones or the reboot, I would say you don't have to play through the old ones to play the new one. So if you're looking to get into it, just jump in and start playing.
At first glance, God of War looks like it's just nothing but a monster, just killing monsters, things like that. Overall, you're there for the story. You're there for the growth of Kratos, and eventually to inevitable to which is the PS4 one is him looking like he's actual father.
If you like the new one, check out the old ones. The story is the same level of depth and fantasticness, maybe not quite as movie quality and grandiose as what they did on this new one, because that's really groundbreaking technology. But I mean, if we're talking PS2, come on, man, cut it some slack, dog. That game was a game changer. Back in the day, it was godlike, dude. Godlike.
From the very first God of War for the PS2, he was just a man who just murdered his wife and daughter. This one, he's just lost his wife, and he's in a journey with his son to actually show him that it's a different place which you think it is. The overall story is just what compels more than actual gameplay. That's what always got me when it comes to video games in general. As long as the story is great, I'm 100% in it.
God of War, in a phrase, godlike.
This first episode of Your Gaming Reason is drastically different from what I do, but I hope you guys enjoyed this new series I've been working on for at least a year. I wanted to thank Chris and Sal for both taking times out of their schedule to talk about this wonderful series. If you guys loved or even disliked this video, feel free to give a thumbs up or down, as well as some constructive criticism. All of my social media, including my Twitch, is available down below if you so choose to follow what I do. Lastly, if you want to support the channel, Patreon is the best way to allow me to purchase better equipment and even games so I can improve upcoming videos and beyond. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch the video, and I'll see you soon.